stream. Okay. Okay. Let me just get a window up and we can start opening these bad boys. All right, let's do this. So Vincent. Oh, I need to turn the input. There we go. To go on. So this is a thing. I don't know, like there's not text to go with what the feedback should be. So we're just going to kind of look at it at the face value that it is. Oh, Vincent updated it. Working on this compact apartment built inside of a shipping container. My plan is to fill this up with props and make it feel lived in with plenty of subtle dirt and grime. I am going to remake the cupboards on the right at some point. Not really after any specific feedback. Then what are you posting in here for? Just interested in your thoughts. Okay. All right. So lighting wise, it's pretty evenly lit. This shot here is quite interesting just because it's a little darker in areas, which kind of gives you some depth. I tend to like layouts when they have like a functionality to them. So like you can see the slats to the bed up above. I think that's what it's a bunk. So and then you have your working desk under. I think your focal point for this entire scene is going to be this and probably the kitchen sink little area. No, it's a Discord critique. So far it's looking pretty cool. There are some really subtle dirtiness. I don't know. I don't even know what you would call that. But those subtle dirty imperfections that you would get in reality, right? So that's pretty cool that that's there. When we look at stuff like this, I think right now it's pretty perfect looking. This type of information that you're looking to do, definitely make sure that you're pushing that type of thought and process of those types of details into your roughness more than your albedo. Like depending on the type of dirt that it is or like dust, sometimes it's not visible in the albedo and it's more about the way it affects the roughness. Madhu is freaking out. In general, this is looking pretty good so far, and it's just a matter of starting to fill it up and tell stories with it. This is super interesting to me. I don't know if it's dirtiness or if it's just like trying to imply that the rug material is kind of changing direction based on like, you know, when you vacuum and you get that direction shift. Just so everyone that's new here knows. So I'd say it's once a month, we do a 2-hour stream where you get feedback on either completed work or stuff that you're working on right now by posting it in the stream critique channel in the Discord, which you can get here. If you want to, nice, Martin's got it. So if you want a portfolio review, there's a completely separate link for that, which is !review. And that right now is locked because we have like, I think 3 2-hour sessions set already. But if you're part of the Discord, then you will get alerted the moment that those forms open up and then you can sign up. Yeah, I should record that as like a button press. So this is looking pretty cool. It's still early days, I think, but the quality at which you're pushing for already looks really nice. And I'm looking forward to seeing this populated with a bunch of props so that we can see some character and some storytelling going on. Let's look at the next one. So Quantum, I think Quantum is just looking for some feedback on this material. Material substance designer rendered using Marmoset toolbag. So Quilly Willie's in chat. He might say something about this since he's so hardcore about materials and whatnot. Good old Ben Wilson. What's up, Hobbit? How you doing? So right off the bat, I guess I would say it's very uniform. So if we look at the details by themselves, I think in this view, when you're just looking at almost like detail lighting, Madu, man, he's having a great time out there. I can feel it. So the king, yes, he speaks. So the amount of foliage that's between the cobble, I think if you could get some breakup in uniformity of like the scale of the leaves, like you get the younger ones and then maybe some of the cobble that's lower or has kind of been worn down, right? So it's height wise is much lower and maybe is even being overgrown with cobble or more dirt on top of it. Getting some size variety, which it looks like you're doing a bit of with these smaller stones. The cracks, Ben mentioned this a while back in another Discord critique session where looking at like how cracks are formed on rock or stone or any material that cracks like this is to make sure that you've got your primary cracks and then you've got your thin secondary cracks, or you have ones that are just recently cracked, so they're very thin hairline fractures, if you want to call it that. The other thing I would say is the albedo is quite simple when it comes to the variety of the textural information. I'm trying to see if I can get a good sense of the. Oh, that's interesting. So okay, I'm looking at the normal sample here, and there's these lines that I'll say are like horizontal or vertical, these vertical lines, and they kind of, I'm getting a sense that they're there in all of the stone, kind of going the same direction. Like you can see it a little bit here as well, or maybe here also. And getting those to randomize their direction would help break up the overall feeling that you're getting from all of these. Ben's saying that he thinks the crack should be removed entirely. He feels like the stones where the crack would actually break apart rather than fracture. That's without looking at reference, though. So yeah, looking at how cobble breaks down over time is really important. Researching your materials and trying to make sure that you're maintaining the look and feel of the material trying to replicate. This to me shows that you understand substance designer, but I feel like it's more stylized because you probably weren't you were either looking at reference but not to be exact to the reference, or you were just kind of going off of like stuff in your head to figure out how to make the cobble. Hopefully that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, it still looks cool. It's very stylized and it's very uniform. If there were some ways to break it up, that would be nice. The other thing is I'm not sure if it was intended to be stylized or not, so keep that in mind. That's how it's being perceived. All right, next one. Man, these Imgur links scare me because usually they have like advertisements in them, and you can never trust those advertisements. You know what I mean? I think I'll tear this away, put it on the side here, and then we'll just preview it. And I'll copy the image address. Does that work? Yes, it does. Cool. Okay, so, and there's a couple other images in here. All right, yeah, okay. This is how we're going to do it. I'm going to just shrink this down like this, and we can just call it good. So, sorry for that. No, it's fine. I mean, it's not your fault. I'm not blocking ads on this thing either, so I guess that's more on me. So this looks pretty cool. Did you at the end of the project? So if you have any some recommendations, if there are a few things that you think I need to spend a few more hours in, would be awesome to know. Okay, so let's just kind of take this in at first. We'll look at all the different shots. Right off the bat, I like the fact that the guy is posed holding a torch up. That's cool. Thank you for the follow. Hey, what's up, guys? Laziza and Tobias, how you doing? Welcome. All right. Just kind of looking at all the nice. I like it. You're like, yeah, this is gonna be my ArtStation banner. It's nice to see how proud you are of your work, because you should be, right? It takes time to do this stuff. Okay, so I guess from the further shots like this shot's pretty cool. It's very heavily weighted on this side just because of how dark this asset is that's so close to the camera. Blurring that out or pushing the focus on this using depth of field would be really useful. I wonder if I can click this and then there we go. All right. We're going to just accept the ads here soon. The overall scene is quite uniform in its brightness, and I guess if you wanted to imply that it was nighttime, maybe letting the shadows become a little bit darker, especially with this being so dark. It's like I'm wondering why this is so dark, but then the rest of the scene is so bright. It's almost like just taking your ambient and lowering it a little bit. That would probably help quite a bit, I think, with the overall composition. It's quite warm at the entrance, which is good. Warm tones look nice at the entrance here. These spires look pretty cool. Detail wise, they're pretty interesting. Oh man. All right. So you've got some detail in here, which looks like what you would do with an edge decal here, but you've inverted it to like bridge the gap between the pillar and the wall. That's a great, super nice touch. Doing it as just like a crack can help like connect it in a natural way. Having it chipped like this feels a little odd, but it is doing the trick when it comes to like bridging the pillar to or this like support to the rest of the wall without it being just a hard edge, right? Let's scroll up a little bit more here. So this, man, there is some detail up here. That is pretty cool. I'm almost wondering if you did this with like because you could bake this out, right? Or you could make this pattern tileable, tile it, and then where you have this mapped, you could paint a mask that would say show this tileable normal where the mask is white, right? So then you wouldn't have to sit there and try and get the fidelity so high res with a really high res bake. Something to keep in mind if that's what you didn't do. And it's applied as a decal. Interesting. Okay, so that's one way to do it, especially when it's if it's a portfolio piece or you're just trying to make something that looks cool. I think making a decal this big, you're gonna get some tech artists stressing out. If you could build a shader where you're telling it to show this information, I think that would be preferable, because then you could like really drive home like the fidelity. What is going on? No, I can't. All right, we're switching the songs. So, overall, this is really cool though. It's executed quite well, and the attention to detail and breaking up those edges is really good. If you had to push it further, I guess I would use roughness on the metal that's at this entrance to really control how metal it is, right? Or like how reflective it is overall. Because like around the edges, it's going to be pretty rough, right? Because it's meeting up with other rough materials, and just where dust and dirt will build up is just going to kind of like frame it. And it's probably mainly around here. It's going to be pretty reflective. And then these other areas are going to be really subdued. Still shiny, but like they're not being as shiny as this central area. Yeah, I think if you were to, like in this shot, for example, up high, there's some information up here pushing the brightness of that stuff down so that this becomes more forward. Let me see if I can. I'll just do a quick edit and then we'll see here. Let me hide this real quick. Just make sure Photoshop's not gonna pop up like, oh, you forgot to save this. And I'm like, oh, did I? Okay. All right, so. Yeah, some breakup on the surface here would be really good. But like, so first off, let's say like this whole, I'm just going to kind of do a rough selection of this. And I'm just going to, oh, hang on. I'm not going to try and make it perfect, because then we'll burn all our time drawing masks, you know. So I'm just going to Control Shift C, Control Shift V, and then we'll just we'll push the highlights back, right? And then we'll go and we'll push the midtones back, and then let's really like kick up the shadows here. So you can see by doing that, you're going to make this pop more. I went pretty extreme so that I can control it like this. And I think in general, see, getting some more contrast in there. The only other thing I think I would do, let's see here. Let's what am I doing here? Just like framing. Oh, you don't want to do it. Oh man. Okay. Well, I can't do that. Let's see here. Because I need some freaking canvas control here. So I want to keep this top area pretty. So basically, you don't need to focus on the side stuff, and it's more about the central area. And I would argue, while these are quite bright here and they're so central, I would probably push the focus even more here, just in the brightness. But yeah, hopefully that gives you some feedback that you can use. That's not like huge changes or like huge reworks. Let's see what else we got here. So we got the Discord, Big Z. All right, let's open this guy up, and we'll go back to this one. We'll drag this over. Okay, so this is looking pretty cool. Looks like you're just composition and lighting, but stuff is a so you want some feedback on the composition and lighting, right. Okay, so the door is pretty far to the right. Right now I think you're trying to fight with showing the window and the doorway. If you went with a wider angle, maybe you could bring the door a little bit more to the left while still keeping the window in place. But right now I can tell you're trying to show both of them. I mean, honestly, I think what I would do is just take the door, because like you see how close it is to the edge of the wall here. That feels very weird to me. Maybe it's like that in the reference. I would just take that door and move it over, maybe to here, just so you've got some more room. Oh wow, I just realized this is like ripped open here. How does that happen? Are these going to be chem lights? Experience points chem lights. Is that what these are down here? It's pretty close to the edge in the reference. It just feels very weird to me. And then you don't really get to notice the door here. I mean, maybe if this bookshelf was here as well, so you had two. But yeah, I would look at showing us a little bit more. Yeah, because you know what's really funny is like when you make stuff in from reference, there are certain things that you have to kind of break away from, just because if you see it in game, it's just gonna look weird. Like, what is going on? It's like, well, I mean, they just decided to put the door that, like, the design of the building had the door frame that close to the edge. Whereas, like, if you see it in a game, like, level designers would, like, freak out, right? And gamers would feel strange. Like, this doesn't feel right. It'd probably be subconscious to a gamer, not so much like they're straight up saying this doorway's wrong. It just would feel off. I mean, you could push this wall a little bit further away from the camera, which will allow you to bring the window more into the shot. But yeah, I'll let you make all those decisions. I'm just pointing out stuff that feels funny. You're gonna flood it later, dude. That's sick. I like it. With the chem lights in there. That's cool, man. I like that. All right, Neil's next here. All right, Neil. So you want some feedback on your Excalibur scene? I think what I would do is right now things that are in shadow are very much the same kind of color as the things that are in light. Like the light is definitely like brighter and more like yellow, right? But getting the information that's in the background to be a different color just to help you get that pop a little bit more. I think that's really all I could say about the, let me see if I can. So right now it's very wide. There's a lot of information over here that you probably don't need to see. Taking these types of foliage, right, and bringing it into right around here helps. There's a lot of info that's like I think that's a waterfall in the back. That's just not very present. Let me see what else we could do here. So it centers it up a little bit more, which we got to be careful about because you don't want it to be too centered. Let's see if we can't. So right now you can see I'm trying to get it probably somewhere around here. And I do like the wide angle that you have. If we look at the levels, that's pretty. So if you can get this popping a bit more, right? Then you're looking at like a nicer range of information. The thing I was gonna say is the background. Let's just throw another color on it just to see. And then we'll just do a quick mask, and I'll just paint on the mask and bring the color back. And we'll just we'll do this quite rough as well. Maybe as it's going off the side, it's not so. You still want the color hits here, probably. I'm doing this with a mouse, so sorry. I'm also butchering your work, so I apologize. But you can see, like, now this really pops out, right? Let's, I think that gets the point across, at least. And then maybe, I do like how, oh man, I'm getting kind of crazy with it, but it doesn't have to be all one color, right? So you can lower that down and then just kind of push it back. See, by using the color that I have on this, it's kind of desaturating it because of the colors that are mixing. But I think you get the idea for what I'm trying to do here. The other thing I guess I would say is this line here. Let's see here. This line here is very it feels very non-organic, I guess, in the shape that it just continues like that. Maybe there's something to do with the way that this breaks. Like this is a good opportunity, like if you wanted a waterfall there, and like having like we're talking really small, like little trickles, like the little tiny waterfalls that you see. But the focus is this, right? Is making sure that this is what pops is going to be important. I almost argue you could blur the stuff in the background, not like in post, but like in the post. I guess post processing is post, but making that stuff kind of push back a bit. Waterfall is just following the concept. Yeah, see, and I think that's fine. It's just that's not like the. I guess it's the same as Big Z's. Is it's in the concept, so you felt that it needed to be there when you know that it's not the focal point, right? So if you could push away some aspects of the concept or have them there but not try and make them emphasized is important. And I guess it isn't really emphasized, so that's good. It's more about separating the foreground and the background. In general, though, it looks really nice. I think these are Megascans assets, right? It's pretty cool, man. It's the way you've placed the props is really good because it feels natural in the way they're positioned and just the details where they're resting. And you're doing a really good job of making some asymmetrical symmetry or asymmetrical silhouette detail. I guess with this being in the light, it's going to pop more than some of the other stuff over here. All right, Tristan. Short explanation of the scene. Let's pop this open here. Okay, so short explanation of the scene. The oven is awake and has gotten angry and caused a little destruction inside of the observation room. So I've been focusing on creating some damage and destruction within the scene. Any feedback on things to add or on ways to improve the lighting and composition? So this oven, oh my God, I love the glass with the. You can tell people are watching. They're like, yes, interesting. There's this interesting light design thing above. I guess the weird part for me is so you've got this kind of like purpley light. But I'm not seeing it hitting anything down here. Like that purple light is perfect for highlights on the edge of the oven. This is a weird scene, man. I like it. I'm not sure what these are. They kind of look like servers just because I see lights and stuff like that, but they don't really resemble servers in that sense. Like, I feel like Snake is talking to me through this one. Ketchup. I need to find ketchup. I understand their doors. Are you kidding me? Wait a minute. They don't read like doors at all, man. I see it now that you've said it. I'm like, you're kidding me. Yeah, servers, like I assume these were like stylized servers in that sense. I guess to know that they're doors, it would be useful to like, in a lab when you have like lines that tell you where you're going or signage that tells you that this is like door 37 or like this goes to lab blah blah blah. Signage is going to be everything to tell you what is what. When you look at this light being against the wall, it probably needs to be floating further out, similar to like how this is, because the goal of this light is to light the door, right? So that you can see. Thanks, Martin. There's not really any effects yet, which I assume is you'll get to it eventually. And that's just really making this feel like it's charred. You said that you needed to explain the scene. And what I need to know is how this happens or where this is coming from without you having to explain it, right? So like usually going over the top is the best way to imply something. So for example, if you look at like this oven, right? Having it bolted down in some way and then having a blast mark that goes out from around it will really tell me, oh man, this thing is crazy. It needs to be locked down, and these guys are steadying it, right? Yeah, you hear Maru. He's going crazy, man. That's definitely going to be in the VOD later. But yeah, as far as these doors go, signage, some type of design that helps me know what these doors are or where they go is also going to tell me that they're doors, right? And then thinking about looking at reference to make sure that you're designing a door that looks like a proper like airlock type of design, even before you stylize it. Yeah, they don't come off as doors. Look up affordance as a design concept. All right. That's what Ruth in chat feedback. But yeah, hopefully that's helpful. The last thing I would say about this is this back window here. I really like the idea of this. Making the whole scene a little bit darker so that the focal point is on this window and the oven. I almost feel like this area over here is not part of this scene. Like this almost should be glassed, and then there's people standing here as well steadying it. And this whole room is just smoky as all hell. But I see what you're going for, and it's just a matter of tightening up those details that we're talking about and getting us to understand what we're looking at without having to explain things. Do you think the shadow areas are too dark? You're talking about up here? No, actually, I don't think they're too dark. They get pretty dark in here. These areas might be too dark, but like, for example, this brightness in this area is probably the darkness that you want to be looking for. I say that because if we go in, we'll just make a new. Let's make this. Let's do it, right? Let's do the thing we always do. We'll just make the background yellow. We'll double click on layer 1. Let this window pop up because for whatever reason, it takes forever to pop up. And then we'll just crunch this number. So you can see these are basically, this is where, like if I just move it a little bit, that's where it's pitch black, right? So there's no information in there. And then as we keep going, you can see it takes a little bit before it starts to hit here and quite a bit more before it hits here. That means that there's a lot of information. So like there's actual color or pixel detail information in there. So when you need to, you can then move levels around and see it better when you need to. This will help you in post when you're trying to adjust things. What's up, Wee? How you doing? But yeah, hopefully that was a lot of information that you can chew on. All right, up next is let me kill these. We'll leave that. We'll leave that jazz. It's pretty. Okay, Alexander. Thanks for the stream. Was hoping you could give me some crit on how to improve this material. So these are definitely stylized, right? That's cool. I mean, when you get into stylized, it becomes really difficult to figure out what should be improved upon, because the things I might tell you to improve on are the stylistic choices you made, right? I do like the little bit of water that's coming through here. I think that's water. Watch Bob Ross. Is it sand? No. That right there? Oh, I see now. This is a shadow, and this is sand. Dang, this read as very clear water to me. Wow. Oh my gosh, Quantum in chat. Yellow light tickling your brain. So as far as presentation goes, these lights are too bright, specifically these two. I would have them have a larger fall off. As you see, like you're running into the problem that we were talking about with the shadows being too dark, right? So if I do the same thing where I make the background yellow, you're gonna see on the other end. See this information? These are white pixels, basically. So there's almost no information in there. You want to make sure to avoid that. If that happens at all, it should be like right on the very edge, like a couple pixels. So, okay, I have to say it again just so we're clear. So these are Discord critiques. The portfolio critiques are another thing entirely. Like we're not doing whole portfolios this time around. It's just like single pieces. There's some stretching that's going on here. You can avoid that by giving yourself a little bit of a blur on the edge here, just to give yourself some pixel room. So it's not just going from 0 to 1 all of a sudden. This is also quite bright. It's doing the same thing. I think this light actually needs to be further behind the sphere itself so that you're getting the rim light. Yeah, bevel is basically the same thing. You probably want to do a bevel because blurring it's just going to soften the shape a little too much, and it'll probably hit everything. You got to be careful with that. These details, I mean, I feel like that's more of the style. I don't know, Ben, if you feel like chiming in, I'm not sure how you would give feedback on stylized materials to really imply more of the style, because I don't know like this one is also is quite blown out over here. Reminds you of the bathroom tiles in your old apartment. I like the consistency of these like circles and these kind of wavy lines that are also in the other texture. I would maybe make them a little bit more subtle, like the highlights and the dark part of it, maybe halving it and just seeing how that works. It's the same graph. Oh, that's interesting. You'd also warp to the cracks. So these cracks, I feel like were stylized in that sense. Also, with the sand being here, I would probably push, like you don't want to do a little bit of sand if you're going to do it, right? You want to like start to put sand everywhere just to really bring it home, or to really describe how sandy it actually, or that it is sand. Yeah, so Ben doesn't have much more to add than what Quantum and I had said. I think some more intentional clean cut edge bevels would look nice, but I would say the materials is at a good point to see a context now for a more relevant feedback. Yeah, I mean, they look cool. I think it's more about your presentation and the way you're using your lights and being careful with those. Every third week, basically. If you follow the our Twitter account, the Dynasty Empire Twitter account, you'll see when it goes live as well. But yeah, it's basically about every third week. Might be every. Oh man, I need to look at the schedule and because we also have the portfolio critiques. All right, so this next one's quite a large scene. Oh man, that's not creepy at all. This one. This my current work in progress. Any critique welcome, especially with the lighting atmosphere, and if you see any problems in general about meshes. Holograms and monitor screens are currently just placeholder. Let's see here. That was like pretty good for placeholder. I guess I'm still gonna comment on it, making sure that you have like I don't know. It's interesting that the monitors are different shapes or sizes. So keep that in mind. Like I'm not sure. It doesn't come off weird, but maybe to some it might. Watch out for tangent lines like this when you bring in the final assets. Where like you have the edge of the monitor meeting the edge of this. Is that the computer itself? I'm not sure. Yeah. So you want to be careful about these really tight, like where they bump into each other, essentially become the same line. These are cool. I kind of wish this one was different. So like, I guess it's the same, like, cause I'm seeing a little bit of the next poster here. I would just take that poster and put it there, like offset it a little bit. Hey, thanks, man. Much appreciated. You have an old TV as your second monitor? Ben. Guys, this is how you become one of the best substance artists in the world, is you have to have an old TV monitor as your second monitor. You heard it here first from Ben Wilson. Mika's on the way. So overall, the scene is looking pretty cool. There's a lot of storytelling going on, which is nice. The bed looks cool. I think making the brightness here, let me see. So when it comes to lighting and like what you want the viewer to be focusing on, remember that it's all in the I'm gonna use your own values, and then we'll just mask it here real quick. So of course, keeping in mind that this is bright, right? I'm gonna go through and do this really fast. There's some type of lighting coming in from over here, which I'm not sure is needed for the focal point, which I think is supposed to be this. Let me just do. It's a little bright over there, but I'm gonna leave it for now. Oh, hey, let's look at what we can do about the brightness here. Because like down here, I think is where like that information could be kind of out of the frame when it comes to, like, you want it in the shot, but it's just not something that you would be focusing on. Let me see if lower. It's like you want it to be lit from the window a little bit, but at the same time, you don't want it to like take over the composition, right? This is pretty fine detail stuff. Guess we could probably just be painting the... But yeah, I think you're going to want... So this is the original image, right? And you're just going to want to like tune where the focus, where the viewer is looking. I think the brightness of the holograms is interesting, but if you could push it down and just let the hologram speak for itself, the fact that you can see through it, that would be more interesting to me. I'm not sure if this is a hologram though. That might be actually on a screen. But to keep in mind. Scene's looking cool though. There's a lot of information going on. A lot of little details and stuff like that. Or maybe open one of these and then try and kill the duplicate effect here. I do like the volumetrics being in there, but yeah, utilizing those volumetrics, I think they should still be there, just maybe not as bright. And maybe that just means that the brightness of the lighting in general needs to come down, because that's not the volumetrics fault, right? It's the light that's affecting the volumetrics. I talk about it like volumetrics got feelings. You got feelings, volumetrics? You got feelings? All right, Tom. My most recent project, looking for key areas to improve for my future projects moving forward. Oh, nice. Some Chernobyl stuff. All right, so paying attention to your modeling is probably the number one thing I'm seeing right off the bat. Like the colors here, those would be done with the tiles, right? Hey, no problem. No problem, dude. Oh, Leo slept in. You failed, man. You failed. No, it's cool. Welcome. I'm happy to have you. Even late, it's great. So when you're looking at reference, you've got these tiles, right? And knowing that the tiles are going to be the things that are colored, you have to keep that in mind when you're doing details like this. So it's these finer details. You make sure those are all like in line. You're going to be good. Logic to your materials is everything. So making sure that, see this kind of this griminess right here that's happening on the walls. I guess it's like the paint peeling or this discoloration. You want to make sure that happens probably more so on the edges and then kind of creeps in from there. They actually aren't in line. See, that's a thing where I would say make them in line, because this will just look like you don't know what you're doing. I see it now more here as well, that it's more intentional. If you want to stick really close to reference, make sure to put the reference in here, which you might have. Let me see. No, we don't. No. Oh, dang, that looks nice. So sometimes you have to break the rules. Oh yeah, Tobias with the reference here. Yeah, I mean it's more about like, well, it's more about making something that looks. What is that? Is that actually the reference? Is that the real photo? So if you look at I'm so glad you posted this. So you can see how they're offset, but they're still like, especially these like smaller ones here. There's a really small sliver. They've totally cut the white tile and made a small white tile above it. So they're still using tiles to color them. Look, they're even like every once in a while making a really thin one, which I guess is maybe like where those weren't there because they were building the drain system behind it, and then they put them in afterwards. But execution-wise, I think, oh, this is cool. This is also quite nice. I'm not sure how damage like that happens. Maybe I just closed a reference. Maybe it's in the reference. The next thing I would point out is things like this. So like the way these are UV'd, like I can tell that this is just a cube, right? It's making sure to push that extra detail. You have like a seam here where like the UVs go and then they stop there and then they start again, but then they start slightly offset. So it's all these like small little things that add up to like just small problems that need to be fixed for your next scene, of course. Making sure that the tiles don't feel, it might be perspective, but right now these tiles here feel squished. That's got to be perspective because these look fine. Someone got angry at the sledgehammer. These shots are really cool. What do you mean, Tobias? Oh, it's another link. Okay, hang on. Dang, he's dropping all the links, man. All that roughness. Right. Okay. Hang on. Can I just not have it zoom in all the way like that? Yeah. So these are even one piece. So I would even bevel these. Oh my gosh, they actually cut the. The tiles are offset. That's hilarious. Now, so if I control scroll, I'm literally changing the zoom of the browser, which I'm not really a fan of. But so when you have this happen, you need to really emphasize the grout there. And the other thing that might this might also be a problem where it's like these aren't square, but then these are. Super weird. So in this case, yeah, it is accurate. But the fact that I point at it bugs me. It bugs me. It'll bug someone else too. Imagine if no one knows that it actually is like that, right? Yeah, so making sure that the ref is in the portfolio is going to be really important. The people who made this pool clearly didn't have OCD. Oh, that's funny. This buildup of stuff down here as well, with the leaves coming in and like getting blown around and caught in the corners. That's something I would have added in here just to get some contrast down here. I think you've got some leaves in there. They're just darker, or they're lighter. Like, see, it kind of, like, I guess in this case, it would be quite cleaned out, right? Did the people who made the pools forget to look at reference? I like this. That's cool. Yeah, I guess this is another great example of like things that are in real life. If you replicate them in 3D, often makes you look like you don't know how to like unwrap stuff. See this piece here, you got to be careful with just making sure to UV those. And I would totally, if they're doing those with tiles, I would commit these numbers to the same kind of setup where the tiles are cut. That's that'd be really important to me. And textile density for sure. Yeah, I should probably move on. So hopefully that gave you something to go off of. Musty. Is it Musty? Musty? Just general feedback about the whole scene. What looks off? What should be improved? Oh, that's cool. Nice. Hey, wait a minute. I know that guy. This is quite a large scene you were building. Oh man, in motion. That's cool. So in motion, I guess I would expect to see like more lights flying around. Oh, nice camera swapping. The resolution of the cracks in the wall here feel a little low. I think that's a decal, right? That's a happy VR guy in the billboard. What? Where? He's like, oh my god, that's amazing. That's awesome. Yeah, so it looks like maybe it was scaled up just a little too much, the decal. So it's kind of got some resolution difference to the wall itself. This text also feels really simple, whereas like I guess maybe stylizing it so that it feels much more in line with the theme of the time that you're trying to depict here. I say time because we're all heading here. This is what's gonna happen. Um, Other than that, I think a lot of attention was put on the buildings and the positioning of screens. These look really cool. This one's a little busy or noisy, just in the way it's kind of set up. But I think what is suffering the most is the ground propping is just non-existent. A lot of the modeling when it comes to maybe it's because of the design you're going for, but these feel really low poly, even though I can see they're either baked bevels or beveled in geometry. I think if you were to put stickers on things, like if you had like an atlas of stickers and you kind of place them in areas where people would put stickers, and then more graffiti where trash builds up, that would help sell that this is intended to be that kind of blocky design. I think the air might be too clean. That might be a personal taste though. Lighting wise, it might be a little uniform as well. But man, I think for this kind of setting and look, it's really hard to do these environments because they are so like in your face. Like all of the ads are trying to get your attention, right? Yeah, Leo brings a good point. It's a lack of infrastructure. So drains, protective barriers, floor LEDs, yeah, road markings, anything to like help sell the space. This is cool though. Seeing lights that are like deep in the smog, way up high, like on a railway, would be really interesting to see up there. Some color choices like these guys are really like, why would those be neon like that? Is it to draw the attention over here? Um, Basically, I would imagine if it's relatively clean by these doorways or this entryway to this, let's say it's a parking garage, that the just outside of the relatively clean, it goes immediately to like trashy, dirty. Like the back alleys are just completely disgusting. Flying people, flying cars, flying people. Um, Looking at this doorway and trying to make sense of the scale, like this just feels very large, and the design here doesn't really feel like I know um, what it is. Other than these tell me it's a doorway, but the width of these and like design wise, it just feels really bubbly. Or maybe more like a block out that got brought to like a final in the way that it was designed. It kept itself quite simple from the block out instead of expanding on it and kind of trying to come up with a design for like, because you could have these triangle pieces, right? You could have done like a triangle for the glass, and then maybe it splits here and they're sliding or something. I don't know. Hoovy, what's up, man? How you doing? This is pretty impressive though. Like that initial shot, like you're really pushing it. Some yellows. Slap on a loading bay sign. The signage would be huge. There's not nearly enough graffiti, I think, in this, or kind of like wear and tear of the surfaces. Is that graffiti that's behind the chair as well? Like you'll want to bring that up here just to see it more. It's pretty cool though. I think if you had right now, a lot of the text has a background to it, and I think if you went for more of that holographic look and got the text to where the text is wrapping around and you can see it overlapping itself when it goes behind, and you're seeing all the inner workings and maybe some type of projection lines from like complex projectors that are projecting the text out. But yeah, overall pretty cool. And the presentation with like switching shots and having it like fuzz out is kind of cool. All right. Tom sees my first project in a long time, making sure I'm on the right path and how I can improve with prop/presentation. Wow, this is pretty cool. Very stylized. So it's ZBrush and Substance. Scroll through here a little bit. So this is nice presentation with bringing the focus to this piece here, or this part of the piece. And then also, again, with bringing focus here and to here. So that's really good. Showing the high poly is also really good. I like that. And saying who the concept artist is, also putting in here, and then linking the concept artist again. And mentioning also. That's very good. Very, very good. I guess it's missing like a, I don't know, maybe it's not. Let's see. I want to say it's missing some ambient occlusion, but it looks like it's there. It's just really, holy cow, what's going on here? Oh, it's the background. Yeah, there's some interesting stuff happening. So while it is PBR, the colors that you're using are much more of the stylized nature in the way that they're being used and like where they're at. Like as I change this to something more like that, you can see like how saturated some of it is as you bring down the range. That's interesting. Just seeing how stuff crunches down. I think really pushing the kind of darkening inside of this area would be good. It's like mid-tones. To just kind of really like push the, let me see if I can get something that kind of works. Because it feels like it's almost unlit. Everything's very like albedo wise is very like pastel or like this like lighter colors. Yeah, this type of chain would totally wear the wood material down. Though you could argue it's not like that in the concept, so. But yeah, I would like to see more scratches there. Maybe broader scratches so that it's not so, doesn't give off that like you want the scratches to be in the same like stylized look. Overall, it's executed quite well. I think up here the wood patterns kind of break down a little bit, whereas down here it makes much more sense. And I like the fact that there's this little limb sticking out of the side there. Yeah, it kind of feels like maybe you didn't know what to do with this area when you got to that point. This is awesome. So you just threw a bunch of pieces together before was it dynameshing them together? But yeah, it is like Leo saying, it's faithful to the concept, so that's cool. Man, I really like this part. I think it's because like when you see the rings, These might be a little too square. I mean, they're like that here, but I think even if you were to bevel them so that they were a little softer, that would be nice. I think can I brain. Oh. So right now they're quite sharp like this, right? I think even if you were doing a small bevel like that, that would help with how sharp they were here. I think that would help soften up the feeling that you're getting up here. You get it's like that a little bit, but I think pushing it further would help. Man, that looks like that was a nightmare to do. Bonsi, chat will help you. And if they don't, I don't know what to. No, just kidding. It's the channel's called Stream Dash Critique. All right, so it is 9:17. We've got until 10 o'clock, and then it'll be like 10:10 when I get out of here. Okay, so Mika is next. Oh, right, back onto the nice, getting those details. Did I miss one? Wait a minute. I did miss one. There we go. These look pretty nice. Oh, Diamond, thank you. These fingerprints are a little extreme, but the attention dude needs to watch close. The attention to detail is in the roughness is especially good. You're really focusing in on like getting those materials to read. Man, that screen is dirty. I imagine, did you look at did you watch the tutorial? Hey, what's up, man? How you doing? I imagine you watched the tutorial on ArtStation. Because this looks like you paid attention to how important roughness is for surfaces, especially when you're trying to go for that ultra realistic. This one specifically feels real nice. Just these fingerprints on the side here feel a little exaggerated. How you guys doing? Let's see here. So there are 96 of you in here, by the way. Thank you for hanging out. Nancy, what's up? Hello. So this, so you've got some, hang on, let me make sure. Yeah, I'm seeing it. Okay. You've got chromatic aberration going on here. Don't even worry about using that. Just because it's taking away from this fidelity that you're going for. If you're going to go this type of detail, I want camera angles on top of this table, right? Luminous, how you doing? Hey, True. Quantum, thanks, man. Thanks a lot. So it looks like you still need to work on the pillows. The phone as well feels a little stylized in its scale or shape to the other props. These two props, man, if your whole scene is sitting on that quality, yeah, I could have some creases in here. If your whole scene is sitting on the quality of these two things, you really need to get a lot of those close-up shots. 100 people, I don't believe it. Yeah, you guys are dope. The ArtStation tutorial I mentioned, I can't think of it off the top of my head. It's very good, though. Does anyone in chat know? This is a Portal 2 room. Yes, Ben. Yeah, by Joe. Is it Sieber? Is that how you say his last name? Dude, Joe's freaking... It's good stuff, man. Realistic props tutorial. Definitely, if you're trying to up your realistic game when it comes to materials, watch that. Watch that video. Even if just for the texturing aspect of it, the attention to detail on the surfaces is key. That's why I'm like, I looked at this and I'm like, you either watch that or you know what's up. Man, that aspect ratio. Ugh. Ugh. So overall, this is looking pretty good. I just mentioning the scale and the fidelity that you're getting with these props. Make sure to look at how you can push that type of fidelity to all of your surface materials. So like up here, I guess this is probably a trim sheet, right? But getting a roughness that really reads like that surface is going to be key if you want it to, like, right now it sticks out more game-like. And I think when you get a camera really close to it, then the roughness kind of will muddy out. And making sure that those details hold up even at a distance is going to be key. Like the TV and the clock right now they're not showing their true potential until you get close to them. Seeing them like this is huge. This is a big step up in quality. Scene's looking cool though. Getting some imperfections in the blanket, and you're gonna be good. Let's keep going here though. Pandu. Everyone, oh man, I love your streams. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Oh, and just I meant to say this at the beginning of the stream, but it's really important that so yesterday was supposed to be the stream. And when it came to me being done with work, I like laid down because I was tired, right? Took a nap and I woke up and then I go, I'm like out of steam. If I do the stream, I could do it. But like, what does that do long term, right? If I do that a couple times, that's how you start to approach burnout. You have to be super careful and hyper aware of where your line is. If you're tired, if you just chill for a little bit, slow down. Everyone's cool. It's gonna be fine. And yeah, so that's what I did yesterday, and I just played Animal Crossing. It was nice. Anyways, let's look at Pandu stuff. Yes, prioritize your well-being. It's important. You'll be able to art for much, much longer because of it. Did it not glitchy? That is weird because I don't really have control over that. Let me just double check something. It may have not gone through. I don't know. Look at this cannon. We got Lucas in chat. He's probably got something to say. 18th century cannon. Yeah, it may also be slow, for sure. So, the benefits of doing a unique bake is you get these like nice variations. You're wondering if it's meant to be stylized or realistic? Well, there's your first feedback. So one thing I'd say is this looks like you're suffering from resolution issues because of baking. I could be wrong. I need to be able to see a flat. I mean, honestly, if it's meant to be from this distance, it looks fine. And I think where this would benefit from is having like a light on the side here that's much warmer, just to have like a warm kind of light that travels across the surfaces as it rotates. It's a nice spin though. Might be spinning slightly too fast. I don't know. Could be okay. Whoa, weird. I was looking at spinning stuff and then I looked at this and I was like, is that spinning? Classical. No, there's not. Um, yeah, I guess I don't have too much to say. Like this edge is quite sharp, and I would say that the information that's here for the wood surface is quite blurry. I love this. We should start. Everyone should start putting their age up there. I know that'd make Alex really excited. I mean, it looks cool. Yeah, I last comment before I switch over. So the ground is a bit pillowy. Maybe it doesn't need to be that high, so it could be a little lower. And then the main takeaway was the resolution of the wood surface here, which you could do a tileable wood material, right? But then in another UV set, map the unique baked information. That way you can retain the resolution of the wood material with its normals as well, and then also getting all of the benefits of the baked information. Yeah, just don't. No home address. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't listen to chat. Oh, Quantum posted this as well. This is what that material looked like a month ago. So this is more of a realistic. The fracturing, I would still agree with Ben and like removing that. Um, I think the other result is more stylized but looks more finished. And I think a lot of it has to do with the albedo and where the colors went with it. All right, Norman. Oh man, wait a minute. Have I seen this before? I feel like I've seen this. So this looks pretty cool. It looks a little blurry. So this is working on 3 weeks ArcVids project, 1 week and a half. Thanks for all the streams. This teaches me a lot. Hey, no problem, man. We're all learning together, right? Would love to have some feedback on it, especially with the lighting and composition. I guess put yourself in this seat and think about placing your coffee down and putting your pen down and putting the paper down. And think about the rotation of those objects, and then you'll have a more believable prop placement. I don't know if that makes sense. It does look a little blurry, and I'm trying to figure out if it's because temporal anti-aliasing. Maybe. Let me look at the other. Yeah, it feels like it's the temporal AA that's doing that. So one thing I would mention here is getting some type of seam design around this so that where it meets the cabinets above, that it feels like it's built into it, right? So this seam, for example, you're going to want to move this. I think this just needs to be adjusted because like if this line here will usually line up with the stovetop that's under it, and then this should all frame up correctly to that, right? So it's almost like a modular kit. So this oven being in like a wood surface, I would assume it's more of like a fake surface or a varnish. That's a small oven and a huge microwave. Yes, I think you're right. You're talking about these guys here. That is a giant microwave. That's something worth noting for sure. Um, Maybe when you open it, it's actually quite small on the inside, or it's a microwave for an entire turkey. Y'all got the extra large microwave in stock? It's like oven size, please. But yeah, so scale is really important. I'm really trying to figure. I think it's the temporal A that's making it blurry. One little trick that you could do, if we copy this, bring it into Photoshop here. When you have this scene, first let me do some levels on this just to see what's going on here. So you see the gradient that you're getting from the light source above? If you could get that to visualize somehow, that would be nice. Because then you get a much more interesting ceiling kind of gradient happening. Visually, the ceiling will look more interesting, I think, because of it. Adding a little bit of a gap above this usually is a thing that exists just by the design of how these things are put together. And when you open this, like where that ends up resting when it automatically holds itself up, right? What was I going to say about let's look at that trick. So also, I can't tell if these have transmission going on in them. So they feel a little dark in the core here, whereas like the room is so bright that I feel like these leaves should be bright as well. Because they're taking in all of those light photons, right? So with this trick, we dupe the layer, we do a filter, other, and then a high pass. And basically what you're doing with this high pass is you're kind of highlighting these finer details. And then you just kind of do an overlay. We zoom in and you look at like this area, for example. You can see how it sharpens it up. It might not come through on the stream. Let me just zoom in here. So what I would do is turn that on with the overlay and then turn it to 0 and then turn it up just enough so you notice it. But for sure, look into what is making your screenshots blurry. I would also suggest taking when you take a screenshot at like an 8K and then downsample it to 4K, for example. You're going to get a much crisper image and less stepping in like smaller details, like alias stepping, where you have like pixels that are kind of a bit of volumetric dust couldn't hurt. Fake plant. Lucas is calling it a fake plant. All right, man. If it's a fake plant, they will not let it be that dark. Let's see if there's anything else I could mention. The size of the pattern on the back wall might be too large. Like if it was tiling more, it might look more noisy. That's a tough one. It would be nice to have like a like how do I do this? So if you had like an edge here on the bottom that was like that went all the way around, and that's where all your outlets were, because you have an outlet here that's not very visible, right? And it just shows like that kind of fidelity in the thought process to design and functionality, because usually they'll have the outlets sideways like this. And maybe obviously they're not going to be near the sink, but who am I? Yeah, pay attention to scale. Figure out what's making your image blurry, and look at the design of like how things fit together. And I think you'll be in a pretty good spot. Procedural marble you made. Oh, nice. That's cool. All right, this one. Oh, I wish Kyle was here. Kyle 3D. I don't know if he's in here. So still working on some of the roughness maps, but I made some changes based on some feedback or critiques in the Discord. I've gotten some feedback about the lighting, trying to push more contrast. Be careful when you hear feedback about pushing contrast, because you wanna really understand what they mean when they say like it needs more contrast. some critiques on that aspect in the lighting itself. How to achieve that would be great. Cool. Okay, let's look at let's kill some of these tabs. We got 3 photos. Let's bow. Okay. So one thing I would do when you're doing your lighting pass is first of all, go with the light placements that you want, like ship design wise, like where are hanging lights at, where are candles going to be at. And from there, just looking at those lights, figure out how much they're actually illuminating the space and what they actually illuminate. So like the books, for example, will be quite bright here, it looks like, and then it'll fall off as it gets more to this side. But somehow the whole scene is still quite bright here. You can get pretty moody as well. So see, here's another light. Yeah, I wonder if it's... Oh yeah, that's difficult. Do you I hope you're in chat. If you're in chat, say something. Cuz I would love to see this in albedo only, cuz a lot of your albedo is going to dictate like the value of your albedo is going to change how the lighting's perceived. Cuz right now I want to say that the overall ambient brightness... Nice, you're here? If you can post a screenshot in chat, like a URL to a screenshot of the albedo only, that'd be awesome. If not, that's fine. But my gut instinct is that your ambient light is quite bright, and it's because you're trying to light these areas that are getting really dark, right? Maybe it's the bounce is really strong in the lights, so you're not really getting... Let me see if I can... Let's see which picture would be the best for this. Because you're also getting light coming in from outside. So seeing how that affects the scene is going to be important. So if we copy this and we go to Photoshop. So if we lower this down, then you can really start to see like where the lights are and where they're kind of bouncing. You're getting maybe some light bleed up there. I'm not sure where that's coming from. That must be light bleed from just outside. Do you see that when I crunch it down? So watch out for those. The space does feel quite large. I would say, like, man, it would be a ton of rework to do it, but like, I don't even know if I should suggest it because that might stress you out. But like, you have this central window, right? Let's make another layer so we're not crushing stuff. So we got the central window. To take these windows, instead of having them be that large, making them narrow like this, right? Now you've got more framing to the chair itself. Which then allows you to bring these walls in where the bookshelf starts here, for example, or even here. And then your wall, it narrows out quite a bit because of that. Where's the Kraken? It's a great question. Yeah, there's a lot. It's just very bright in general, and it's very open. Like the space is quite open. I wonder, you know what would be cool? So right now it looks like you're trying to fill the space with these props and stuff. Think about the captain, right? And he's like stoked, like, oh, all these treasures we got and all this stuff. Put two giant like long tables here with all the chairs and stuff for all the other like pirate guys to sit at. And then like the rug here that's kind of all tattered and stuff. Maybe it has their symbol on it or their sigil. And then this allows you to put a ton of stuff on the, like maybe you get like a low bookshelf here and a low bookshelf here. You could even take this beam here, extend it out, and then that allows you to put stuff on top of it. Because basically what you're trying to do is shrink the space down so that you can really focus on like this spot here. Cause I feel like this area here, that's the focus. With it being light out, maybe these don't need to be as bright as they are. The amount of light that these are bouncing should be quite small. Right now it feels like it's that big, where in reality it probably needs to be more like that. So it's hitting the ceiling and maybe some of the stuff that's on the tables, and then and then the bounce is falling off quite quickly. All the lighting can be coming from the windows, essentially, I think. Yeah. Yeah, it's not historically accurate, but it sounds pretty freaking cool, right? Luminous, yes. Just post it in the chat. I just need to make sure that we get to you. We have about 15 minutes, and it looks like I've got a handful more to go through. All the materials are quite stylized. One last comment is to just make sure that like the resolution and patterns that are happening here are here in the same kind of scale. Pirates didn't have peg legs. Square walls. Oh man, that's a great point. Getting these walls to round out is also another really good way to kind of shrink the space. Definitely look at references of, I don't even know what you would look up reference wise. Lucas Stratman in chat in the Discord would be able to help you for sure, though. Hit me up if you want to talk about ships. He can tell you all. Trust me. Just record it and come back in a few hours. You'll have everything you'll ever want. Just press record, walk away, go get some lunch. You could take a nap too, come back, and then be like, oh, thanks, Lucas. I don't mean that in a rude way. Lucas is full of historical information. It's quite amazing. Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, so let's go ahead and move on. Okay, so we've got beach white sand. Lucas is an alien. That's what everyone keeps saying. So the fidelity of the kind of noise that you're getting here and your roughness is pretty interesting. These little shapes here are a little odd that they're having the kind of the same kind of man, what would you call those? These little micro dunes. I don't. These little patterns in the sand are happening on these as well, and I imagine that wouldn't be the case. Micro dunes, 10 out of 10. So it's basically patterns that are happening in the sand because of the way that it's being deformed by the wind, is probably the better way to say that. Now these straighter ones, I would take those and go with the same approach as these. It's very strange that they would be so straight like this. The glittery look might be a little stylized, but I think these lines here, these bigger ones, are the product of you're seeing it on a larger surface and we're seeing it on a sphere. So for materials like this, I would strongly suggest putting it on some type of dune or sand space and just showing it in its environment so that we get a sense for like how, like why these are as straight as they are. Because maybe it looks good when it's actually laid out in a scene. But for me, these feel very strangely straight, whereas like this pattern with the smaller ones makes much more sense. And I would expect to see that on a larger scale with these guys. For presentation purposes, adding smaller things in it could be nice. Like a seashell that's barely visible. Like this stuff here, right? If it was a shell that was kind of like where the sand is just slightly blown off of the top of it and you can kind of see it. Because then you get two different roughness details as well, or footprints in the sand and how the sand has deformed from those footprints. Materials should tell stories too, man. That's how I feel about it. All right. Is it Deshant? Dude, this looks cool. What's going on here? What's this? All right, so we got hella reference. Got that ref board. Oh, I know a friend who would really like this. I should send it to her. She's a painter. So. Oh wow, you have a really long message too. I'm working on an environment for quite some time with the idea is to create a story in this artwork which conveys how our digital tech took over the old. This sounds super familiar. Have I looked at this before? So it's showing an old wooden easel artists are now lying in the attic. We've looked at this before. So I think color-wise, I like number 4. But these types of choices I can't make until it's been textured. Right? Because there's a lot of information that's going to come in with the texturing. The number 1 is also quite nice. And you want to make sure that you're seeing the particles in the air because you want it to feel dusty, right? Hey, no problem, Glitchy. Some wooden floorboards? You mean on down here? Yeah, I wonder. Let me think here. If you were to add those details, I would make sure that they're quite subtle, like finer details, just because there's so much information going on here, and this side is going to be quite dark, and this is going to be quite dark, so it's trying to maintain that balance of high frequency detail, which is stuff like this and stuff like this, and details that are, doesn't it, Tobias? And details that are broad like this and give your eye somewhere to rest. But yeah, I don't think I can make a judgment call on the mood right now until, like, this is color grading that you're going to want to do after you get your materials all in place. Because the cool thing about dust is it really diffuses roughness, right? It really makes stuff look like soft. And with that in mind, you can do things like really finding the elements of things that are usually quite shiny or reflective, like these cups. And then, or like the paint buckets, and just letting the dust cover it up, but then having areas where you can still see that kind of the shininess of the glass or of metal that's just been forgotten because everything else has got dust on it, right? Yeah, the layout and composition of this is very, very strong already. It's just a matter of getting those textures in. Because I think once you have that, you're going to be in a real nice spot to just kind of get that layer of dust going on. Which, depending, I imagine this looks like it's an Unreal, judging by the splotchiness of I think it's a preview light map bake. You should turn that up, right? You should be able to plug in a shader that gives you dust on everything. You're just like as a overlying dust mask inside of your materials. And then I would expose that so that you can control how much dust or where the dust, like if the dust is being fed by a mask, So that way you can control where the dust is when you want to. But yeah, right now I'm liking this one. This one also is a pretty cool color, literally. But I have to wait until it's got some texture to it. Is it Emre? Emre's next. Quick question about the lighting or in general. What do you think? What are you thinking about this high poly model, modeled in Blender, rendered out in Keyshot? It's fan art for sure. Nice. Overwatch fan art. So, question about the lighting in general. I mean, it looks like presentation lighting, which is Keyshot, right? It is a little bright. I usually like to have the HDR that's hitting an asset in Keyshot. Man, my brain it's melting, guys. Help me, my brain's melting. No, it's let me think here. I would like the HDR to have more contrast in it or smaller bright points, if that makes sense. I think my brain's going, hey, it's Friday. Yeah, it's Friday. Overall, it looks pretty cool. Scratches are a little uniform. I would think that maybe if you add a little bit more character and where the scratches are at. Let me see what happens if I bring it into Photoshop. Into Photopoo. That's yeah. I think the metal might be too light in the albedo. Or sorry, too dark. Let me see. Cuz like I don't know. The red is very saturated as well. I think it's fine. It's just the lighting environment you've chosen is just very washed, right? It's very bright. Yeah, I think if this was on like a darker set with maybe like a dark gray floor, and then you had more of like stadium lighting, right? So it's quite dark, but then you have the huge spotlights that are above that are just, and then you're seeing those in the reflections. Oh man, that would look pretty. That'd look pretty sick. You should see if you can get some stadium lighting at night and see what that looks like for something like this. Other than that, the asset looks pretty cool. I don't really have much to comment on it other than the scratches being kind of everywhere evenly. But yeah, the cool thing about Keyshot is what you could do. This is totally a hack, but you're going into Keyshot anyways. So you could do a render like this, right? Then do a render with no red paint and what the metal looks like under it. And then you can bring those both into Photoshop, and then with masks, you could go in like here, we can just fake this. So if I just kill the saturation on this and we say that this is the underside of this is like metals. And then we put that under here, and then we put a mask on there. You could start doing this on your own, right? Where you're chipping it away yourself in Photoshop to get that final. This is so, I like it. But yeah, you could do this type of stuff afterwards. Because in Keyshot, maybe you're not even doing UVs on this, right? Maybe this is just the result of what you've been doing. Like, see how much more, like, the surface is so much more interesting. I love that type of stuff. But with a proper material under it instead of this, then you don't have like the levels changing. You don't have you can get maybe a really scratched surface under it, or that you're tiling over it, and then you can just replace you can just mask it out. Oh, that's so funny. Cheats, man. Yeah, it does a lot. Man, I could do that all night. This is kind of fun. But anyway, let's move on here. Bonts. So Bonts did this loading bay. It doesn't have any comments on it too much, so we just kind of look at it. Hey, no problem, dude. I'm glad when it can be helpful, because honestly, all I'm doing is reacting to what I'm seeing based off of my own personal opinions and what I know about art and 3D, right? This is pretty cool. That lens flare, that's a lens flare. It's not bad though. It's not like, oh my god, lens flare. It's almost JJ, but not quite. It's got the JJ, but it doesn't have the Abrams, so you're good. You're safe. Ooh, this shot's cool. I always like seeing renders like this. So external lighting only. It'd be really interesting to see this animated, where like you can see the edge of a planet, and then so it's quite dark in here, right? It's just JJ Jr. That's good. Some high quality tech clutter. Yeah, it's true. I think if the floor had less contrast in its details, like if they're even less, that would probably help a little bit with giving you somewhere for your eyes to rest. Now I say an edge of a planet, and the sun is the star, or the sun of that planet is behind the planet, and you have this shot. You get the little blinking lights and the stuff's all animated and moving around, and then just have the sun pop up over the corner and just watch all of the materials react to the fact that now they're all exposed to the sun. Yeah, a more solid walking path would be nice. And these, okay, I see a thing now that's bugging me. I like what it's doing. It just doesn't feel natural. Okay, so what is going on? There we go. No. Oh, I don't like using red. It's negative. Negative feedback. Negative. So you've got the shape of the space like this, right? So that's a cool shape. Then you're adding these, which I do like because it changes the overall shape of the corridor. What I don't like is how different the angle is. Like, if design wise, if this were to happen, we're gonna just do this. So we're gonna get these right, and then I'm gonna show you. So what you would want to do is match the angle of the design. Right? So like, for example, this one even would be more like that. Now, and that's just because it feels really strange. It feels like you've accidentally grabbed it and accidentally rotated it versus it being a structural design. It still could be how you want it to be. See, like this isn't even horizontal. What you would want is probably you'd want to match this angle and then straighten it out and then match the angle again. So straight down and then matching the angle again. Yeah, you want parallel shapes in this design, I think, just because then it's not so distracting. That being said, you don't have to do that, right? Also, I like how far this comes out, and it leads me to believe that there should be stuff here. Like maybe there's a bunch of boxes of, not cardboard boxes, but like sci-fi containers and things that are holding stuff. Or even up here, something that's like shelving and netting that's holding a bunch of stuff in. I would be careful about the amount of detail you're putting in everywhere. Like these little bolts here, these could be much smaller just so that they match the scale of everything else. I'm now noticing that there's not really bolts anywhere other than those ones. Maybe it's because it needs to be in the textured version. Yeah, see, it's still very, these just need to be smaller, I think. But it's all covered up by this UI, this floating UI elements. Yeah, I really want the sun to be behind a planet and then pop up, because I just want to see the materials reacting. See, I think exposed floor paneling to a lower level is just going to add a bunch more information that is just kind of pulling you out of having an area for your eyes to rest. Like I'd argue that this detail here probably needs to go and this can stay, just so that you get more space for your eyes to go, to breathe, right? It's pretty cool though. Crazy modeling. Crazy. All right, Ray. Just bully me. That's what Ray's saying. Love to know general thoughts. Nothing too micro. Hi, stream. uh, oh man, that's hilarious. That's amazing. All right, so general thoughts. Nothing too micro. Just know individual assets can always be better. I think a lot of it's just scale, like paying attention to scale, and like how things are implied. You don't want anything too micro. I know individual assets can always be better. All right, so if we look at this presentation, first off, I would say the saturation on the graffiti maybe is a little too high on saturation. I like the camera angle you chose and the position for like, let's see here. Just how things in the foreground and the background are parallaxing with each other. Damn me. It does. It looks like trash to me, right? It's like a bunch of trash. Look at those trash bags. Yeah. The AO is a bit dark, yeah. So I like the doff at the end. It happens really fast and you don't get to use it for anything. It just kind of happens. And I also don't like that the camera stops. You should never have, like, see at the beginning. At the beginning, it's already in motion, which is nice. But then when it stops at the end and then fades, it just feels jarring. I would just have it go behind something again. I don't know if the that blurring, the depth of field shift, I don't think it's needed. Do you notice too that the depth of field is happening post, right? So it's not affecting the smoke coming out of the vent there, or the AC unit. The fence in the background's got some AA going on it or something. Oh yeah. Yeah, that flickering that's going on there. So you can get away from that if you find if you render it higher res and then down res it, you can possibly get away from that. Um, yeah, let me see here. A lot of it's scale though. I think it's just material scale and like trying not to exaggerate shapes too much. Like this corner is very clean and like boxy, right? See how all the dirt and like trash and stuff is kind of localized around the this giant trash bin. Getting that around like further out, stuff leaking out of the garbage bags and like I can tell that it feels like all these cigarettes are just a set and they're being placed. That's probably just us as artists seeing it though, right? But yeah. The AO, like chat was saying earlier, definitely is a little dark. That wouldn't create what is Lucas saying? Yeah, the wooden crate is fully lit, but the shadows, but partly in the shadow. That's odd. Yeah, I guess. I mean, really pushing the modeling, because like I could just take this right and you inset the top and inset the sides, um, and then you just map the texturing to that, and then you're good. Trying to like either bevel it or bringing in some extra geometry to kind of change the shapes is gonna, from being straight lines, is gonna help a lot. The other thing I guess you could do is think about like, so is this all back alley, or is this like a road? Originally it was a road, and then they closed it up. It's like it used to be a back alley, and then this one's more of like a proper back alley. So this has a road surface to it, with maybe it's dipping in the middle, so like all the rain kind of runs to the center and then goes into drains. There's also not a lot of signage, so you're not sure. I guess there wouldn't be signage back here though. Now that I think about it. But yeah, dude, we're almost out of time. I got time for one more. Oh man, there's more. See, it's weird for graffiti to show the information behind it. Wait, I gotta see this now. Where are you talking about that, Lucas? Screenshot. This one. It's on top of a box. It's literally in the light. But it feels weird, right? It feels weird that it's on a box, but there's nothing behind it or in front of it to help anchor it. So it kind of feels like it's floating. And if you don't notice this box, then it really feels like it's. But yeah. Yeah, thinking about how to execute based off of reference, seeing how garages are put together. Back alleys are weird, man. This is very strange too. I'm not sure. Is this a lot of cracks and stuff like that? It's like, is it a decal? I think what I would go for is probably just using a different brick. Because like, are all the buildings? See, like what I like about this wall is the fact that it's different from the other buildings. So getting that breakup is really important, and getting the graffiti on these edges, even though it's because it's sprayed down, right? So it's gonna be there. Got a dash. All right, Mika. Check you later. Okay, let's let's grab this last one, and then I got to get out of here, sadly. The Real Steel. No critiques from me. It's just super cool. Nice job, guys. Okay, so Imperial. Hey, would love some critiques on this piece. I consider the model done, but I intend to make a little environment to ground the asset, and to make the shots more juicy. Could always use more juicy shots. Let's take a look. So right off the bat, I love the design just because it's so different. I'd be careful with this seat. You're gonna get a lot of weird attention for that seat. I'm just gonna say it now. You're gonna get a lot of weird comments. But yeah, the exaggeration in the shapes, the way it's designed, very Overwatch. The way it's textured as well is pretty interesting to me. Classic Bluetooth, Jesus. I really like this. Design-wise, it's super, super cool. That seat, man. I don't know. I don't have much to say on it, actually. Maybe some other angles would be interesting. Oh, man, and there's a battery. Oh, you know what? I don't... I would say probably the weakest part about it is the handlebars. Just like how long these are, and then the pattern that's on them. Like the pattern could probably tile a little bit more. If that pattern's there, I would expect it to be on the seat as well if it's made out of the same material. It's super cool design though. I want one. Can I ride this? Lime scooter replacement for sure. This bat, like, you've thought of everything really, I think, when it comes to it. Yeah, the handles, I feel like maybe if it was just longer here, and then that the dimple pattern was tiling more, maybe not so deep, it'd probably feel more complete. One question I have is how much character do you want to add to it? Because right now it looks like the only character is that it's been ridden a lot. So it's got some wear, some aging going on it. But when it comes to character, like maybe this has been taped up, right? Or someone's written on the side of it. What's a bike lock look like for this thing? Is it this? Or is that the kickstand? I feel like this. So you're emissive on this one. I would actually like to see the edge of it. The edge of it be a little softer on the emissive. That way it looks like it's being backlit, right, by a light source. So you just soften that up. That would be cool. Lucas says, if those are pedals, how do they work? Are they square? I don't think they're pedals. I literally think you put your feet on it and then you just go. Like, I bet they would probably be more forward. You put your feet on it, and then when you tilt your feet forward a little bit to flatten your feet out, you go. And then you brake by tipping your feet back. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, oh, the other one's up, is it? No. That's just how you ride it. One leg's always up. Yeah, you're right. One is up. So yeah, knowing how these turn is going to be important because that doesn't look like it can turn. I would just put both of them down. I think that's... I like bikes. This is sick though. I love the design. I would love to see some other colors. And I'm really curious about this environment you're going to place it in because, like, even just a small scene around it has to maintain this type of look. And that part excites me quite a bit. All right. I'm supposed to get out of here, but there's one more. Luminous. I got you. I got you, fam. Hello, I'm working on my very first environment. Guys, exciting times here. It's always a big deal when you start showing your stuff. I've been trying to light up the scene naturally, but something seems off and I wasn't able to figure out what. Would really appreciate some critiques about it. Thanks. I haven't made the lamp that is supposed to be in the middle column yet. Right, so there's supposed to be a lamp here. So if you haven't made the lamp, I would strongly suggest just blocking it out and then selecting the polys that would be lit and just making those emissive. Like just block out a light source. Think about what's going to be on the ceiling and if there's anything that's signifying which doors are what. Like are these apartments? Is this a hotel? Those are the things you want to try and answer, right? So blocking out all those lights, maybe there's a dome light up here, but that's off and then these are on. And then it's mainly being lit by these smaller lights and the window in the back. And then in that case, it's going to be quite dark. Unless these are on, like a ceiling dome light. Definitely look at reference. And as far as the floor goes, it's tough because it feels weird that it's this type of material all the way to the edge. Oh, it's hanging like that. Okay. It's like this. All right. All right. I would think about adding just small. So like if the light's hanging from there, pin a single wire that keeps getting stapled and just run to the wall just for that realism. But I mean, I think you're off to a good start. I would look at maybe, I don't want to say putting a rug down here because I like this surface. But right now to me, it feels very strange that the wood pattern goes all the way to the edge of the wall. Just find some reference and see what, doormats, Leo's spot on with that. Doormats are going to help. But think about what could be in this hallway. Little side tables. If it's a hotel, like maybe there's a little side table here with a giant mirror or something. Framed photos if it's a hotel. Or a place to stay that's not... that's a hotel. I'm about to define a hotel. Hotel corridor. All right. So yeah, look at what old hotels do. Dude, I love this line here that goes over the door. That's super cool. Also think about a little extra layer of dirtiness, like the dripping grime stuff up here. If it's not abandoned, you could still do that, but really, really lightly. Possibly even just in the roughness. Because if you do it just in the roughness, it's those subtle details that are adding up. Not like, oh man, it's all grimy as all hell. Hey, Relics, thanks, man. Another month, community equals +1. Thanks a lot, dude. But yeah, I think that's it, guys. I think we're going to get out of here now. Worn wood surface in the middle of the corridor. Yeah, just some extra roughness adjustments to the center here. High traffic. Oh, Leo's got a link here. What's going on? What's happening? Hang on. Ah, yes. A little hanging exit thing. Like an exit emissive light thing would be good. Get on your treadmill and go to sleep. Are you calling me a hamster? No. All right, guys. I got to get out of here. Have a good weekend, huh? Keep an eye on Empire content in the Discord. And if you have not yet, join the Discord. We're all hanging out there, learning to be better artists every day, all day, even on the weekends. It's pretty bad. I think we might have a problem. All right. I'll see you guys later. Dude, this song, though. "24/7, please help."